This is unfortunate. And we see this more and more with, women, you know, dying on the operating table for something that's not needed, right? Once again, Kanye's mom, rest in peace, right? So, yeah, Selkis, have you? And it's something that we in the Black Manosphere speak about at nauseum, and so many women just don't want to own, especially older women, right? Don't want to own this. Your daughters don't want marriage. They don't want to be coupled up with a man in that way. They want the children. They may want monogamy for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They don't want marriage per se because they don't want the obligation and the responsibilities that come with marriage. There's a video that we play all the time from, what was it, 60 Minutes, y'all, in the 80s, where the host of the show is speaking to, what, 19 and 20 and 21 year olds or something like that, 22-year-old young women, and they have, most of them have children, and he's asking them, where's the father of the children? Don't y'all want to be married? And the women are saying no. Okay, let me say that again for you, Selkis. The women are saying no. And this is something that was recorded over, what, some close to 40 years ago, if not 40 years ago at this point. The women today are the same way. Selkis, why is it so difficult for women to believe that other making themselves baby mamas? That yes, they're okay with having your child and not being married to you. They prefer it that way. It's not always the man. Shocker. It's not always the man. One more time. Shocker. It's not always the man. Why is that so difficult to believe? That there are women, attractive, not attractive, educated, not educated, connected, not connected, that are okay with having a child without a man there, without a husband, because they do not want to fulfill. They're so selfish. They're so self-interested. They're so self-centered. They don't want the contractual agreement that comes with being married to someone and having to consider someone else's feelings and their thoughts, right? What they prefer, what they don't prefer. They can do that for a baby that came out of their womb, but they can't do that for another adult, right? Why is that so difficult to believe? Y'all gotta stop treating women, even black women, like they're the moral center of the universe. Because it so distorts the way you view the world and view relationships and intimacy between women and men, particularly black women and black men. Because women can do no, because and it's interesting because Selkis knows better. Selkis is the same one that'll tell you these women be out here evil, and she sounds just a bit more realistic than all the other content creators out there, right? The Chrissies, the Paris, the Yannies, and stuff like that. She's far more realistic in the way she assesses women. But even with this, it's like, why didn't he marry her? It's just this assumption, like this like this assumption that it's him. And I'm not saying it's not him. I'm saying the assumption is that she went into the operating room to keep him interested and to keep him around. And why didn't he marry her? And he's willing to have 3 children with her. And it's like just completely ignoring all the women that, even if this is a rich, famous guy, just they don't want what comes with marriage, particularly working class and poor women. Oh, they definitely don't want. They're like, yeah, I'll be married to a rich man. He can buy me. But a working class and regular and poor and working poor man, yeah, I rather. And they say, but where did we get the term "I'll do bad all by myself"? So, Selkis, it's your age group that popularized that term. Maybe your age group didn't come up with it, but it was your age group, Selkis, that popularized the term "I'll do bad all by myself." Then you, Selkis, turn around and act like you don't know why so many women are baby mamas, right? Selkis, you're from the "I'll do bad all by myself" generation. It's always assumed that it was the man that made a woman a baby mama. It was the man that left the woman. It was a bro. Even from you, Selkis. Once again, I'm not saying, and I'm not sure of the relationship between DC Young Fly and this young lady. I'm not. But speaking on this from a macro level as a man, this assumption that it's somehow this went left because the man went left. Right? This went left because the man went left. Right? I see the super chat. You're gonna have to give me a good like 20 minutes, right? Because I'm on the expressway right now. I can't read it. So my apologies. You know, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? But yeah. So I want us to consider this. What does the intimate relationship between black men and black women look like? When the assumption is always the man went left, the man's not a provider, the man's abusive, the man's mean. When the assumption is always the relationship didn't work out because something that the man is lacking or did wrong or didn't provide. Because a woman would never cheat if he's providing. A woman would never leave if he's providing. A woman would never push him away if he's providing. A woman would never, that statement right now, excuse me, that statement right there assumes that relationships failed because of something the man is lacking or isn't doing. The relationship didn't progress because something the man isn't doing, is lacking, right? He's either immature, he's childish, right? He's too much of a player. Something is wrong with that man. That's why these relationships don't work out, right? And my question to the black community is, decades of that, what has that gotten us? Oh, it's gotten your sons and your sons and your nephews them to be indifferent and say, all right, fine, and throw their hands up and tell you, fine, the black community belongs to the black women. Have fun. I'm gonna go be SYSBM. I'm gonna go be Passport Bro, or I'm gonna just stay in my parents' basement, pay them this little rent money, and be a minimalist and stay to myself. Right? Right? You know, and excuse me if I get into any dead zones. I'm on an expressway. I don't go on often while recording, so I'm not sure where the dead zones are here. So if I hit a dead zone, y'all just let me know, and I'll say what I need to say again. Right? I'll repeat myself. But yeah, so and this is an important question, right? The reason why Mr. Z covers so much relationship and intimacy things, because as you guys can tell, like, I like speaking politics and social issues and technology. There's other things that spark Mr. Z's interest. I don't think we can really get anywhere, really, particularly in the black community, if we don't pin down this man-woman thing, this relationship thing, this intimacy thing, right? This childbearing and child rearing thing, right? I think at the foundation of much of black dysfunction in the black community is the relationship between black men and black women, and the resentment that black men and black women, particularly black women, hold for black men. And if I could call it for what it is, this is going back to slavery. Black women are still making black men pay for slavery, and anybody that tells you otherwise is lying through their teeth. Black women are making black men pay because they're not white women. Upper middle class, elite, and rich white women. That's the bar, that's the standard. And more online dating statistics and information is showing women of color pining for the approval of white men. Translation, he's the only one that can make me a white woman. Fine, I'll go over there then. Right? So he covers so much of the relationship between black men and black women, is I would argue that the reason why we're here as a race is because of the relationship between black men and black women. And the fact that white society is picking winners and losers, and they have put the thumb on the scales for black women against black men. Not because they actually believe in black women, but to undermine the entire black community. They are using gender politics to undermine the black community. They do not believe in the freedom or the greatness of black women. They don't. They do lip service to them. And some black women are just now starting to realize that, especially after the Democratic Party said black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, and pretty much did nothing for them. So on the fringes, you're getting a handful of black women that realize that how America is using them and how white women are using them. Right? On the fringes. Now, some of those black women still want non-black men, particularly white men. Right? They still have all the resentment in the world for black men, particularly working class, everyday, normal black men. Because a white man gets to be normal, a black man has to be rich so he can buy you the great lifestyle. The white man, his skin, I guess, will make up for his lack of wealth. Right? So you couple that to DC Young Fly and his baby mama. I think Selkis, this is where I think we might have a generational divide, right? Because maybe back in the day, Selkis, Ray, in her age group, her generation, they thought the same way. But at least if the black man was rich, they would definitely be up to marrying him, even though they're going to divorce him in like 5-10 years and take half. But they would be up to marrying him. I don't think Selkis Ray fully appreciates the young women not even wanting to marry the rich guy. They just want the money. They don't want the obligation. They don't want a man to be like, babe, what we having for dinner? Babe, why the house, why the apartment looks like this? Why the condo look like this? It's upside down. Right? And we're not speaking about a man that does absolutely no chores at home. Before somebody says, well, he's not doing none of the chores. No. Stop it. Because you're gonna find somebody that's gonna be obtuse and be like, well, if she didn't have to do all the chores, no. And that's number one. Number two, if he paying all the bills, which I'm pretty sure in a DC Young Fly situation, he probably would be paying all the bills. Yeah, you doing all the chores. Oops. But let's assume that she's not doing all the chores, right? We really have an issue dealing with the fact that so many women just don't want the obligation, they don't want the responsibility, and that's okay. And they're doing things for them. How often do you hear black men say, yeah, I don't care for relaxed hair, women do it anyway. I don't care for all the heavy makeup that makes you look like a trans, women do it anyway. I don't care for the Brazilian butt lift, women do it anyway. We just assume that the women are doing it for their individual man. How do you know she's not doing it for the attention of other men, even if she does have Young Fly, DC Young Fly? Why are we assuming that she's not doing it for the competition, the competition with other women? We just assume that she's doing this because of DC Young Fly. Right? Look how many women are dying table, dying right after the operation for a procedure they didn't need because of their own insecurities that have nothing to do with the individual man. Right? And yet somehow this comes back to what men are lacking, what men aren't doing, what a man hasn't done, an individual man, particularly black man, right? And let me read this real quick. Excalibur, thank you very much. Excalibur, excuse me. Excalibur, thank you very much for the super sticker or the super chat. He says salute. Thank you very much. KFC, thank you very much for the super sticker. And Big Kev, wait a minute. Okay, the light's still okay. Big Kev says the black love story told by unreliable narrators. And thank you for the super chat, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Right. So, I just want us to think about these things before we just go around blaming men for women's concept of freedom. Women's concepts of freedom. Women's concepts of going out there and doing their own thing and not being limited or held down by a man. Selkis, what you in your generation are going to have to come to terms with is that your daughters want they want patriarchy and they want female empowerment at the same time. And everyone is like trying to dance around the fact that your daughters want their autonomy. They want their freedom, but they also want the security from a man at the same time, simultaneously. And yes, it don't make no sense. That's the point. Yeah, both of those things are contradictory to each other. That's the point. Right? Yes, it's a not fair position to put men in. That's the point. Can you guys still hear me? Hopefully you guys can. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you guys still can hear me, because I'm almost certain I'm in a dead zone right now. Right? Or I will be like in a minute. Right? But yeah, so and I can always repeat myself, but I personally, right, Mr. Z has an issue with this. Right? Let's get out of the speaking about this in third person type thing. Personally, Mr. Z has an issue with this because, I said getting out of the third person, I refer to myself as a third person. I have an issue with this. I do. Right? Because this assumption that women are morally superior, so that things that they want won't contradict itself. It won't always be selfish. It won't always be self-interested. It won't always be something that makes no sense because this thing flies in the face of that thing. This assumption is kind of how we get to where we are now. The women want their autonomy. They want their freedom. They want their liberty. But they still somehow want they want guardrails up. They want the safety and protection provided by a man and by men, while simultaneously giving men and their own individual man, the middle finger. Right? And we're having a very difficult time as a society coming to terms with that. You thought your daughters would take on the responsibility and the accountability that comes with their autonomy and their freedom and not having to be beholden to an individual man or to men in general. And what they're telling you is, no, I want to be special and equal at the same time. I want to be treated like a child and an adult at the same time. Right? I want the grace that white women are afforded, elite white women are afforded, and the power that elite white men are given, or have taken, or have pillaged. Y'all have to come to terms with that's what your daughters are truly asking for. Right? Come to terms with that's what your daughters are truly asking for. Right? And that's how we get here, is that this society just refuses to acknowledge that. All the lefties definitely refuse to acknowledge that. And then on the right, they're just telling you to alpha your way through their delusional daughters. right? Just admit that y'all raised a bunch of women that you thought was gonna take on the accountability and responsibility and be an adult and put on the big girl panties when given these type of opportunities, and admit that that's not what happened. Your daughters are spoiled brats and they want both and, right? Just admit that your daughters want both and the reason why we're in the position we're in is because your daughters want both and. So I'm not just focusing on DC Young Fly and his baby mama. Once again, rest in peace, right? We're not gonna make fun of her. We're just using her particular situation to have a larger conversation about women wanting their autonomy, wanting to be free, wanting to not be beholden to any man or any man's ideas or ideals or what men think or what men feel or what an individual man may think and feel, right? So this is not about chastising her. I do not believe in speaking too ill about the dead, unless it's egregious, unless we're talking about Ronald Reagan or somebody like that, right? You know, but this is unfortunate, and I got a little. I only listened to a few minutes of Sulcus Ray and her intro in particular, and I'm gonna finish listening to it, and if I have to make any corrections or retract something, I will, right? But if women wanted to be independent and free and they want their autonomy, there's what comes with it, which is potentially your boyfriend, your man saying, "Babe, I don't want you to have that surgery. I don't care for it. It's not gonna do anything for me. I like you the way you are." And whatever she sees in the mirror and whatever she feels like she's lacking, she does it anyway. Now what? Right? Now what? Right? Was Kanye pressuring his mom to have that surgery? No. If I'm not mistaken, he moved her out to Hollywood. She started seeing all these little white women and whatever type of exotic looking women, and she felt a certain way. If I'm not mistaken, didn't Kanye West's mom teach some type of Africana studies or something like that? She was a professor, right? Somewhere in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area. So you have this woman who teaches this type of thing. She goes to California, gets her mind blown, and now she want to have surgery. Am I getting the story wrong? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. So who is Kanye mom trying to impress? If women are to be free and not be beholden to men and men's opinion and thoughts, then we have to let them truly be free. And when women run into the wall of the consequences of their beliefs and thoughts, you can't just put that back on men. You can't turn around and put that back on men. And that's what we do. We look at adult women, particularly in the black community, who are single, who may be miserable, who may be in a relationship, right? Who may be baby mamas, ex-wives, girlfriends, and we look for the nearest man to them, and whatever is wrong with her, we say it's his fault. No more of that. Whatever her vices are, excuse me, Whatever hang up she has, we look for the nearest man to her and blame him. Whether that's a brother, a father, a uncle, a husband, a boyfriend, a baby daddy, somewhere is a man that caused her to be the way she is. Right? And Big Game says, no, she was a English professor. Okay. Right. Okay. And so this goes back to the question that I asked the ladies on the breakdown a couple weeks ago, right? Can you have feminism and patriarchy in the same space? Right? Can you have feminism and patriarchy in the same space? That's a real question. And thank you for that, KFC. Donda C. West, 1949 to 2007, was an English professor and chair of Chicago State University. Thank you. And we're going to leave that up for a little bit, right? So if this young lady had this surgery, and once again, for those of you that are just coming in, we're speaking about DC Young Fly's baby mom, and unfortunately, she passed. I've heard about the story for the past day, I think day or two. Um, I wasn't actually going to cover it. It's just a sad story. But you know, Sulcus Ray covered it, and the question was, why didn't he marry her? And what I'm saying, and I'm responding to, is we make this assumption that it was him. And I'm not saying that she didn't want to be married and he was the one not marrying her. What I'm saying is the assumption that that because she had supposedly two or three children for him, that it's him that doesn't want to marry her. The assumption, not saying he didn't, or not saying that he did, but the assumption is the problem, especially in this modern age, right? Where women are scoffing at the idea of keeping a clean home, where women are scoffing at the idea of washing dishes, right? They're scoffing at the idea of putting someone first before them. Forget the husband, the children, right? Suckers, from my understanding, you have two daughters. These women, they don't want to put anyone, especially, maybe they'll take a daughter or two, but a son? Oh no. Oh hell no. You imagine Kim Foster with a son? You imagine Real Talk with Yanni with a son? You imagine Paris is married right now. You know what that's probably gonna be. But you imagine her with the son, especially if her Nigerian husband wasn't in the picture. You imagine having to put this child first, and then this child is a son. So all the crazy rhetoric that you've been spitting is about to fly in your face with a son. Because other black women are going to be looking at your son the way you look at black men. You imagine Chrissy with the son, a dark-skinned son on top of that, where she got to experience what colorism looked like being thrown onto a black boy that becomes a black man. All the sexist crap that she done sit for years getting thrown on her son. All the looking at a man as nothing but a walking wall and an overglorified guard dog, just a thing, a tool, getting thrown on her son. I wish nothing more for these women than to have sons. All these divestors and swirlers, I wish for nothing more than for them to have sons, particularly don't pass a brown paper bag test sons. right? To see the difference between how white society treats you and treats yourself. Paris told me to my face. Remember, I told y'all I was on the phone with her, and I was like, Paris, we're only 50 years out of Jim Crow. You're sounding like a white racist person. And she was like, about black men. I was saying, you sound like a white racist person about black men. Paris, I was gonna say, look me in the face. We were in, I'm actually face to face, but on the phone, let's say she looked me in the face and said, yeah, they were right about y'all back then. Paris Malone and all of her snarkiness glory said to Mr. Z, the white racists 50 years ago were right about black men back then. So what else should I wish for her but to have a son? What else should I wish for her but to have a son? Let's see how you feel when your son is no longer cute and cuddly. When he's 7 and 10 and 15 years old. Let's see how you feel then. Right? What else should I wish for her? Oh, Stefco, we know she can't have children. That's unfortunate. She was gonna have the child by herself anyway. I'm not for that, but okay. I wish for nothing but Ostefko to have had a son. Let's see how you feel about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock after you have a son. Let's see how you feel about being bullied for your darker skin after you have a son. All these women talking real reckless and crazy, right? We're always blaming black men when a woman falls. I wonder what those women would say with sons. Let's see how you feel when you hear your catty your son's catty, mean, rude girlfriend going off on him on his cell phone. A woman that sounds like you when you were 20 something and 30 something. Oh yeah, Mr. Z wishes for nothing more than these women to have sons, not daughters, so you could hide behind your daughter and you could still say the type of things you say. No, Cynthia G, from my understanding, they say she had a daughter. I wish she had a son. She should have had a son with Rob, right? Cynthia G should have had a dark skinned son. I'm not saying she would have changed her rhetoric. That lady is gone mentally. But no, she should have had a son, right? All these women like throwing in your face. Oh, we talking to these black men and they say, oh, I finally realized what women go through when I had a daughter. I finally had to think different when I had a daughter. That's why I think y'all should have sons. But let's be very clear. These women are so myopic and so self-centered, they'll have a son and probably still sound the way they sound. Shoot, just to prove to themselves that they really about it, they might double and triple down. Right? Mr. Z is not naive. I'm just saying what I'm saying because. But yeah, God, yeah, a son, right? And Lion says, and thank you, Lion, for the super chat. Lion says both both positions are out of fear. The freedom to pursue independence and the security of patriarchy to fall back on in case it goes wrong. Yes, yes, exactly, right, right. Of course, and that's the cost of freedom. Freedom ain't free. Freedom is not free. And sometimes you sacrifice security for freedom. You sacrifice stability for freedom. Ask any business owner. Not saying the 9 to 5 is 100% secure, But if you go start your own gig, your own thing, you're sacrificing that steady paycheck, maybe a unionized job, to start your own thing. You sacrifice stability to get this business off the ground and potentially see it really start making money. You're sacrificing time. You're putting in hours, day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And it's very possible that in 5 years you would have did all that and just have a hole in your wallet and owe whatever bank $20,000, $30,000. But for some reason, it's as if the women we're speaking about, these particular black women, really have an issue coming to terms with that. If you want to be free and autonomous, we're watching Yanni come to terms with it right now. And it's ugly. She's telling you, I want to be a kept woman of leisure, and a man pretty much has to make more than me. Yanni making well into the six figures with her YouTube business. That's why when I was saying a year or so ago, what was the point? What was the point of female empowerment if they literally are the same women just with more money? If you're still trying to practice hypergamy, what was the point? So yeah, Lion, let's read that again. Both positions are out of fear: the freedom to pursue independence and the security of patriarchy to fall back on in case it goes wrong. Right? And that's like bowling with invisible barriers, right? With invisible guardrails. You want the thrill of bowling and feeling like it could go in the gutter, right? On the sides. But if the ball goes too far left or too far right, you want some invisible barrier that you can't see to keep the ball from going in the gutter. So you can still feel that thrill, right? Like you're playing like you're bowling without the guardrails. So you don't want to see the guardrails, but you want them to be there. And now you see why we call so many of them delusional. And now you see why Mr. Z say they're schizophrenic, right? You want the accolades of doing the 200 hurdle, right? The 200-meter with the hurdles or the 100-meter with the hurdles. You want the accolades from that, but you don't actually want the hurdles there. You want to pretend like you're jumping over the hurdles, but you don't actually want the hurdles there. You want some type of matrix style thing where you're just running. You're not even running, you're walking, but you're just running. But in everybody's eyes, you're jumping over hurdles. And you get the gold trophy, right? The gold medal for doing the 100-yard with the hurdles or the 200-yard with the hurdles, but you didn't actually jump over anything. How is this supposed to work? Right? You know? How is this supposed to work? So the young lady passes, unfortunately. And the question is, well, did DC Young Fly love her enough? Why didn't he marry her? Why didn't he make her an honest woman? Selkis, not just this story. We're not just speaking about this story. Selkis, these women don't want to be air quotes honest women. Let's take it out of DC Young Fly in this situation. Your everyday working class woman So many of them are telling you, yeah, I earn 50. A man that I'm dating that I want to be married to, unless he's exceedingly good looking, he better be making 75 for me to even consider it. And I still don't know if I want to be air quotes an honest woman and be obligated to him and the rules and the norms of marriage, right? I want the wedding, I don't want the marriage, right? I might even want the husband. I don't want the norms that come with having a husband. Wash clothes, dishes, keep a clean house. What? What am I, a maid? Right? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with women thinking that way and feeling that way about men. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Deal with the consequences of men saying, all right, bet. There you go. Shout out to the young kids. All right, bet. Right? And that all right bet means a whole lot. Right? And Toya, thank you very much for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Right? And Dr. Thunder says, um, and thank you for the super chat, Dr. Thunder. And Dr. Thunder says, take some money, bro. We're making progress. You available tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern for case close? Yeah. Let me see. That's Sunday, 4 p.m. Yeah, no, that's okay. I'll try to make it through. I'll as a matter of fact, yes. Let me just say yes. Let me just put that in my mind. Yes, right now. Right? Right. And Afro National says, I am not a slave. Exactly, right? So this comes back to it, and suck is this comes back to, did the previous generation socialize the women for what this autonomy looks like? Because this young lady in this surgery and how it went is an example of that. Let's say DC Young Fly wasn't going to marry her. Let's say he refused to, but he'll have sex with her and he'll couple up with her and have children with her. Let's say that's true. Part of what being free is and being autonomous is all of that being true, and she still don't go have the surgery, or she has the surgery and deal with the consequences of what that might look like, right? That part, right? Part of what being free is and being autonomous is that when a woman does something heinous or when she harms herself or when she miscalculates and she falls, you don't look for the nearest man and blame it on him, especially if she's not married, right? Especially if her father wasn't really a part of her life. You don't look for the nearest black man and blame it on him. That's what comes with the autonomy that women fought for, the freedom and the liberties that women fought for. That's the other side of the freedom. It's not always the nearest black man's fault, right? Two women fighting in the middle of a store and no men breaking it up. Guess what? That's what comes with this. If we're throwing patriarchy out the door, you gotta. I say this to Yanni, I say this to Chrissy, now I'm saying it to Selkis, Elder. If you're throwing patriarchy out the door, if y'all have all this contempt for men and black men, if you're saying F male leadership, right? Only men that can lead are men that can buy me. Only the rich men can lead, which pretty much means white men, right? If that's what we are with it, then you got to deal with the consequences of that. right? So if two, once again, if two women are fighting and no man breaks it up, then guess what? That's what comes with it. That's what comes with it. If a woman decides, a woman of 2 and 3 kids who's not married decides to have surgery and unfortunately she passes, that's what comes with this. It's like y'all only want the positively advertised things that our society has been showing women and talking about to women for decades. No, there's some second order effects, unforeseen consequences, etc., that are on the other side of that equal sign. It's not always rainbows and flowers, and it's not unicorns. It's not. So no, we don't get to blame DC Young Fly for this. Even if he didn't want to marry her, she's an adult. She could have left. She's an adult. She could have said, "All right, this first child, I'm done. Where's my ring? You don't want to marry me? That's it. I'm out." She could have did that before the first child. She could have did it after the first child, the second child. She could have not went to go have surgery. We can't keep on saying it's the men's fault. You don't live in that world anymore. You just don't. And y'all are having a difficult time coming to terms with the fact that you don't live in that world anymore. With the stoic patriarch, this stiff upper lip patriarch. You don't live in that because you don't want that world. You haven't socialized your men for that world. You definitely haven't socialized your women for that world. So yeah, you'll find one or two patriarchs sprinkled around. But how many women truly appreciate that man? Right? How many women truly appreciate that man? So this happens and it's unfortunate. But Mr. Z, what I contend is this is not on black men in general, right? This is not on black men in general or even DC Young Fly specifically, right? And I'm sorry for the pause, y'all, but I'm listening to Suckers. I didn't even get through the whole. I think I listened to like 7, 8 minutes, maybe 10, and I just had to respond because you know we keep on getting this over and over again from the ladies. This kind of pseudo patriarchy thing, and I look. I'm putting out the call to FD Signifier to talk about this because this is what him and Eddie and Josh were speaking of. Y'all didn't speak to this in particular, and it's something that he mentioned when he was speaking to me some months ago now, and I'm actually ready to have that conversation again. And if you want to bring on any one of these women, y'all already know how to speak. I'm gonna be respectful or whatever, but y'all gonna have to tell me how this work, how the protection and provision part work without the leadership part and without the final say so part, the most important part, the final say so part. The yeah, babe, you ain't wearing that. Nope, go back upstairs. You ain't wearing that. Nope. If a man can't do that, then the protection thing is out the window, right? That's done, right? If a man can't say, yeah, we're not going there at this time of night, yeah, you're not going there at this time of night. Then the protection part is out the window, right? Y'all talk about now y'all want to add stuff to the protection, emotional protection. If a man can't, mental protection, all this psychological, fine. If a man can't tell you, yeah, that friend, I don't like him, get rid of him. We're not talking about your homeboys that's really just beta male orbiters. No, the homegirls. If your man can't tell you, yeah, get her out of here. I think she's gonna be a bad influence. Get her out. If he can't say that, then the protection's out the window. Oh yeah, you want the protection? Let me tell you what comes with the protection. Your husband, your boyfriend, your baby daddy saying, yeah, no. You know what comes with the protection? Your man's ability to say no and you adhere to it. That part. Right? That part. You know? And Mr. Shook, to you, thank you very much for the super sticker. Thank you very much. Y'all give me 1 second. Right? All right, we're back. Yeah. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Thank you very much once again for the super sticker, Mr. Shook, to you. All right. But yeah, so and I'm tying all of this to the conversation because the way Selkis was speaking. No, this is not on black men. No, this is not on DC Young 5 specifically. And even if they were married, snap, Thanos snap, boom, they're married. In our society, does he have a say so whether she have that surgery or not, even if they're married? Is his word law? Right? Is his word law in that house? Does he have the final word? No, y'all speak about what it would cost to be a leader. Y'all speak about protection. All right, I'm telling you, it comes with protection. He has the final word. That's what comes with protection. It's not this mythical thing y'all think where you feel harm or you feel fear, and then your boyfriend, your husband, your baby daddy, your just parachutes through the ceiling and saves you from whatever situation. It's not no Disney-esque concept of protection. Yeah, my man told me to don't put gas at 10 o'clock at night. Don't put gas after the sun goes down. I'm gonna do it anyway. I need to move this money. It's 11:30 at night. It's 30 minutes before 12. I'm gonna go do it anyway. Oh God, this car behind me is. I'm scared. I'm at the ATM and this guy just pulled up, and now your boyfriend just parachutes out of nowhere. It makes you feel secure. That's not protection. Stop. Succus Ray asking, well, why didn't he marry her? Like that would have stopped her from having surgery, possibly. Right? Like like that would have stopped her. Okay, they're married, fine. He say no, she say yes. Guess what? He still do it. Now what? Now we blame him even more because, well, why are you doing this and you're married? What is your husband lacking? What is he not doing? Why are you seeking the attention of other men? Or he sent her to go do that. He didn't really like her body. That's what y'all would have said. There we go, right there. That's what y'all would have said. Why did he tell her no? But he don't like her body? Why did he marry her then? If he didn't like her body, why did he marry her? Now she dead because the way he think. It's a catch 22. Y'all would have still found a way to blame the man anyway. Because once again, When things go wrong, we treat women like they're not free. When things go wrong, we where's the nearest man, specifically the nearest black man? It's his fault, right? And KW Don says, and thank you for the super chat. KW Don says, Yenny can attract and retain top tier men, black or white. None of these black misanders deserve top tier men based off of their rhetoric. Based on their rhetoric, I agree. I am still flummoxed that Paris nagged a black male, shaking my damn head. Paris is not ugly. That's the thing. Paris is not ugly. And we don't know how much Paris acts the way she does online, offline. I think Paris is two-faced as hell, and she doesn't act necessarily the way she does online, offline. And she's with a Nigerian dude? Oh, yeah. I put money Paris doesn't act the way she does offline. To snatch a Nigerian, and if he's over here paying $2,000, well, yeah, like y'all already know, shout out to my Africans. Yes, I'm about to throw y'all under the bus again. Damn, Mr. Z, do you hate us? No, I don't. My Nigerians specifically. Oh yeah, y'all going under the bus again today. Watch this. Y'all know that y'all know they super simps. Oh, y'all know. But still, for her to snatch a Nigerian, yeah, I'm almost certain. Even if they're super simps, I'm almost certain she doesn't act the way she does offline. I mean, excuse me, yeah, the way she does online, I'm almost certain she doesn't act that way offline, right? And yes, I'm in agreement with you. And quite frankly, overall society's in agreement with you. Overall society's in agreement with you. So yes, black women have to deal with stigmas that's coming from Jim Crow and slavery, but also they have to deal with the stigmas that they perpetuate. And we're not just talking about the most hood black woman. Everybody want to always go to the most hood black woman, Keisha. No, even your white collar, you know, black women doing well for themselves, even born into stability, maybe even a little bit of wealth. White men ain't trying to marry them in any great number either. Latino men are not trying to marry them in any great number either because of the attitude, because of the aura, because of the demeanor. So yes, the colorism and yes, the negative stereotypes, but also the negative stereotypes that black women also perpetuate in front of non-black people. Talking crazy about black men in front of non-black people. Y'all keep on doing that, thinking that's endearing you to these non-black men. No, they pipe and leave. And that's even if they pipe. Y'all think y'all getting kudo points from the white dudes and the Latino dudes. As I said before, y'all moms are lying to y'all. A lot of y'all moms done had sex with white dudes before and Latino dudes. You don't know that. You don't know your aunt was having sex with a white dude or a Latino dude for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year and a half. You don't know that because it didn't work. Because she had delusions of grandeur and it didn't work because of the way she is. And yes, she was throwing black men under the bus in front of that white guy also, that Latino guy also. All those Latinos in LA, y'all trying to tell me none of them are having sex with black women? No, they not marrying black women. In New York, in New Jersey, here in South Florida, in Texas, all these Latino dudes, you trying to tell me they ain't having sex with black women? All these white guys. So Chrissy talking all that crap, Yanni talking all that crap, divested zealot, divested witch, all of those women. Crystal and Karazin, Cynthia G, all of that, they know better. They know. Crystal and Karazin know. She definitely knows. Chrissy knows. They know better. They're just talking. So I'm in agreement with you. I don't think these women are deserving of that. And the environment's showing that. The online dating statistics are showing that. Right? The black women themselves are saying that. Shout out to media, man. He showed that he read the dating divide and he covered a particular segment where the women are telling you these guys are they're and these you got to give it to certain white men. They're so some of them are so bold they straight up saying, yeah, we have sex. Oh yeah, I can't be in a relationship with you though. I just never had sex with a black woman. You want to have sex? And you know if he's a chisel chin, if he's a Chad, oh yeah, you better believe he's telling her that straight out. If he even has to. If he's a chisel chin Chad, he's not even saying it. He's just having sex with her for 2 months, a month, 3 months, and throwing her back to the black community, and then she's gonna tell us how loyal she is. But she think we don't know, right? So yeah, these black misandrists, these black female misandrists, right? Talking crazy about black men and then wonder why these things aren't working for them. Meh, right? You talking salty about black men. You don't got a black man, white man, Latino man. You sounding like Ebony K. Williams. You don't got no man. Talk about mediocre. You don't have any man. And we could tie that right back to the topic at hand. Young lady has surgery. Somehow it's black men's fault. That's why some of y'all don't got no man. Who's signing up for that? Right? Who's signing up for that? Y'all found a way to blame DC and Fly. Now, unless y'all can show some text messages or a phone call where DC Young Fly is like, yeah, I'll pay for the surgery, go have it. I want you to have it. Not her begging and begging and begging and begging and him saying, I don't want you to. And he finally caves and gives her the money and then this happens. No, not that. No, him encouraging her and actually pushing her to have the surgery. Unless y'all could produce the receipts for that, how is it his fault? Because he didn't marry her? She's an adult. She could have left. And Big Kev says, you pray for rain. And thank you for the super chat, Big Kev. And he says, you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud. No, they want you as a black man to deal with the mud. Get it out the mud, feed them, so they could tell you how they went 50-50 with you, even though they don't believe in 50-50, and they call that struggle love. Shout out to Chrissy. Right? Shout out to Yanni. They don't believe in 50-50. They call that struggle love. Right? But they want to talk about getting out the mud or like you said, you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud. No, man, no, Big Kev, that's not how this works. No, you black man deal with the mud. When the fruits of you planting things in the mud come to fruition, then I'll talk about how much I helped. Right? We're just fundamentally dealing with a different type of woman. Not saying that our mothers and our grandmothers didn't feel and think this way, but the societal norms kept them in check, specifically for our grandmothers and great grandmothers. They might have thought and felt a certain way, but the societal norms and the state kept them in check. Now No longer, those things are no longer there. They just walling out. They're doing whatever they want to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. When y'all hear Mr. Z say that, I want you to understand. I'm not just saying that. I'm not. It's not a throwaway line. It's not a I gotcha. It's not a ha ha. You deal with what you deal with. No, I sincerely mean that. I'm not about putting women back in the kitchen by force. I'm not about that. No, believe it or not, I'm not. This is where I often part with certain parts of the black manosphere. I'm not about putting no laws that forces black women to do anything. I just want them to deal with the consequences of their actions. Now that's the difference. That's where I align with the black manosphere. You don't want to get down with a black man's program, with black men's program, then on the other side of you being the bust down for a white dude or a Latino dude are black men that want nothing to do with you. That's where I lie. You have 2, 3 kids from 2, 3 men because you don't want to get down with none of those men's program. And on the other side, you don't get to have a fourth guy come through and take care of you and those 3 kids from 3 different dudes. You just live out here as a single mom for the rest of your life. Period. Right? And then be 50, maybe getting smashed by a 23-year-old as target practice. Right? You want your freedom and your independence, you don't get security. Right? You don't get to be autonomous and have security at the same time. Right? So the rain and the mud thing, yeah, they're not trying to help anybody with anything. None of man, I'm telling y'all, shout out to the brothers that like Mr. Z who engage in the conversation with women, and you see, wow, they either don't know or they're really good at pretending like they don't know. Either way, they either don't know or they're really, really good at pretending they don't know. And it's fascinating, right? And Afro National, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you very much. And Detroit, thank you for the super chat. And he said, "What's up, Mr. Z? How 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 late am I? I think I think you were trying to say LOL. And let's see, when did you come in? Maybe an hour or so late, right?" And Detroit says, "Why they blaming DC Young Fly? Well, it's more of a why didn't he marry her? So apparently, if he would have married her, then she wouldn't have had the surgery, but she wouldn't feel insecure because maybe she was trying to have the surgery. And if you don't know, DC Young Fly baby mama passed away, apparently trying to have BBL or something along those lines. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But and the question that Sulcus Ray asked was why didn't he marry her? Right? Why didn't he marry her? Right? Making the presumption that if he would have married her, right? Or the assumption, so you correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know which one of those words is better used for this, but making the assumption that if he would have married her, then this would have never happened. Right? Oh, Excalibur said, I heard mommy makeover, but who knows? Okay, so maybe, right? So maybe after the third kid, he put the money up and she was like, yeah, I want to go get this stuff. I want to get this nipped and this tucked and this lifted and whatever. And he put the money up and this happened, right? So they're blaming him for it, you know? And so what is he supposed to, like, you know? And what if he kept on saying no? it's almost this is catch-22, right? Y'all imagine if like she did an interview and she was like, "Yeah, I want to get certain things nipped and tucked, and DC don't want to. He don't want to pay for it." He said no, and then we would hear about rich men and their patriarchal standards and ideas, and this is how they hold their money over their women and their wives, and even if he was married to her, this is how they hold their money. You see, this is financial abuse and da da da, and she done had 3 kids from you, and you don't want to pay for this. Let's be honest, y'all trying to tell me that's not what the conversation would have been? Who want to say that's not what the conversation would have been? Right? Right? So, on that note, we're about to close out. You know, yeah. Unfortunately, look, it this is unfortunate. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I don't wish this for anyone. I'm not for the BBL surgeries. The one thing Mr. Z girl don't need, right? One thing my lady don't need, right? So, you know, I'm not for it. Um, but for the women that feel the need to get it, I can't wait for the day when this is less hazardous, right? When it's less dangerous. I don't know if we ever reach that day, but I can't wait for the day where it is. Um, for the women that feel like there's no amount of squats that's ever going to fix their situation, and they're insecure about this, and there's no way to fix that. But the young lady was attractive. She was attractive the way she was, right? So yeah, that's just unfortunate. And exactly, Toy. That's what I'm saying. It's voluntary body augmentation. That lady was fine already. Exactly. Exactly. You know. And that's one thing we talk about white women wanting black women's shape and black women's curves. Y'all tell me who's having most of the BBLs? Uh-oh. From your knowledge, we don't have no hard numbers on it. From what we know, who y'all think having most of the BBLs? Are there skinny black women not getting penis? What are black men not piping skinny black women? Slim black women? Slim dark skinned black women not getting shows? Right? So let me get this right. Black men weren't checking for Lupita? Slim, dark skinned black women, not particularly shapely, right? Before Kelly Rowland became an adult, we didn't think she was cute. For those of us around her age and younger, right? I would argue oftentimes these surgeries have nothing to do with black men or an individual black man, I should say. It's I want the attention, or I want to get back to where I was before the children. I want the attention. Yeah, my man still loves me. Yeah, yeah, etc., etc. But I want this more than I want this the Aisha Curry thing, right? I want the eyeballs. Yeah, I have a husband. Yeah, 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 cute. I want the eyeballs from other men, right? I want the eyeballs from other men. And we have to be honest, that's for some women is that I want to outcompete other women. Look them up, look at my shape. I want to outcompete other women, and I want the attention from men. And so yeah, I have this boyfriend or this baby daddy or this husband, but it's bigger than him. It's more than him. And thank you for the super chat, Kevc. And Kevc says, classic post hoc ergo propter hoc fallacy. This happened, then a bad thing happened. BBL surgery loses her life, and somehow it's black men's fault. You see what I'm saying? And it and I'm, and rest in peace to the young lady. I'm not hearing anything negative about her. Just cute, and felt a certain way about her body after 2 and 3 children. And this happens, and somehow DC Young flies. It's his fault. You know, and that's unfortunate. And that's unfortunate. And then you could tie, I'll end out on this note. And I actually might have to do a video about this comment if I can remember where I saw it. I remember where I saw it. I might screenshot it and actually um do a video about that comment. Um, the idea of black men stepping up to the plate that you see a lot of black women saying, and I'm tying this to the subject matter by saying this young lady passed, and we are putting the responsibility of her passing on DC Young Fly, an adult. She's an adult. She's not his child. She was his baby mom. She's not even his wife. She was his baby mom. And even if she was his wife, right? So I agree with Kev on this. And let's say they did come to agreement and he said yes. And she didn't have to beg. She was like, babe, I want to have surgery. I feel a certain way about how I look in the mirror, blah, blah, blah. And they both knew the risk. She knew the risk, right? He knew the risk. She knew the risk. I mentioned Black Panther the other day as a reference point for something. Let me use it again. When Killmonger um killed his lady, right? And you saw so many black women in an uproar about that. He's such a savage. He killed his lady. She knew the risk. You saw the look on her face. It's like she knew, hey, I can't get captured. I can't. He's not. He's on a mission. He's not gonna let me being held a hostage get in the way of his mission. He's on a mission. He needs to get to Wakanda, and me being captured is in his way, right? Claw is going to use me as some type of weird leverage, and I'm in the way. She knew the risk. Maybe women, black women in specific, have watched way too many superhero movies, way too many Disney movies, because they sign up for something, and when the consequences come, then it's somehow the nearest black man's fault. So let's say, yeah, they came to agreement, and he was like, yeah, here go the money, babe, go ahead. Both of them knew the risk. Now she's in the afterlife dealing with the risk, unfortunately, and he's in the here and now dealing with the issues of the risk. Both of them are dealing with the other side of that equal sign, right? And it's unfortunate. Both of them are now he's a single father to 3 kids. Now he is a single father to 3 kids. So now he has to deal with the consequences of the other side of that equal sign, right? So let me pause right here, truly, right? And y'all like, share, subscribe. Thank you, button for the replay squad. And I'm coming to you guys with a sober tone because this is sad and it was unnecessary and it's unfortunate. And I just wanted to defend black men's position by saying she's an adult. And let's say even if they came to an agreement, this was a risk that they both knew, and I'm almost certain the surgeon told them, right? It can't always be black men's fault, you know? And we'll truly pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, right? And have a great rest of y'all day. Um, yeah, and keep DC Young Fly and his family and her family in your prayers, right? And to Succus Ray, I say, this is what comes with women's autonomy and freedom. And, if they want to do something, they can do it. If they want to do something, they can do it, you know? Detroit, you had to make a final comment. You see, I'm ending out on a sober note. And Detroit says, Mr. Z, you want to tell me why they built like BBL dinosaurs on IG? Man, I see those pictures, bro. I see those pictures. I grew up in the hood. I get it. I get it, man. I get it. Many black women feel like they're invisible. Okay, fine. I don't have the face, right? I don't have the skin tone. Fine. Let me do the surgery on my shape, right? Let me get these breast implants, or let me get this BBL, or let me just get the BBL and a tummy tuck, right? You know what they say: if I can't be famous, I'll be infamous. Fine. I'll have this stupid dumb surgery so that when I'm walking through the store, walking through a mall, the eyes will look. The eyes will look, right? And so I would argue a lot of that is for that. I think that you can put the neon colored weave in there. You could put some of the LGBTQ stuff in there. The crazy makeup in there. All of that is the attention. It's the look at me. And as more and more women do that, then you have to up the ante to be seen, right? That's what the super dumb long weave is for. You got to keep on upping the ante to be seen. The shorts can't get no shorter. The rear ends can't get no bigger. The weave can't get no shinier, right? No more. The weave can't get no more reflective, right? The makeup can't get more caked on. It's a mask now. The dress can't get any tighter. It can't, you know. And I'll pause right there. Truly, um, Cartel. That's the question. Why do women want attention so damn bad, man? We live in an attention economy. Haven't you heard? And IG and Twitter and YouTube, right? And TikTok made it worse, right? They took our issues and made it worse, right? I would like to direct y'all to the documentary Social Dilemma. Y'all go ahead and watch it. I think it's still on Netflix. Y'all go ahead and watch it. Watch the Social Dilemma, right? And watch other Tristan Harris interviews. He speaks about it. They go right to your brain, right to your daughter's brain, right to your son's brain, but your daughter is the one that's really falling for it. You know, I'll y'all got me saying one more thing. This one more thing. Um, y'all know Mr. Z's in the cars heavy. And what social media did to cars, we were already lowering our cars, right? Social media made us lower our cars even more and made us give it even crazier stances, made us do even crazier camera kits. Why? Because the camera couldn't really capture how your car really looks in person. So for it to capture an exaggerated build, the build had to be even more exaggerated. The still photos of your car couldn't really capture how low it sits, that wheel gap, how small the wheel gap is. And I would argue that, for those of us in the car scene that want a bit of attention, we started going overboard with wide body kits, super wide wheels, right? Slam to the ground, right? Crazy camber. Now, because your local car scene is not local anymore, 500 horsepower is not good enough anymore. 700 horsepower is not good enough anymore. 1,000 horsepower is not good enough anymore. Because it's not just a local car scene anymore. It's global. It's not even your little city anymore. It's not even your county anymore. It's not even your state anymore. Right? The Aussies and the Americans are competing on horsepower numbers. The Brits are competing on horsepower numbers. The Japanese are competing on horsepower numbers. Everybody's competing on who has the rarest cars with the rarest parts, the most expensive parts. What's your dyno numbers looking like? Oh, I make 3,000 horsepower. Or I make 2,700 horsepower. What that quarter mile speed look like? What that half mile speed look like? What that mile speed look like? Well, I did, 320 miles an hour in the mile. Shout out to the Ford GT. You tie that to the women, and there you go. The black women in America are competing against the black women in Africa, competing against the black women in Britain, competing against the black women in the Caribbean, competing with the black women in Latin America, right? Which are competing against the non-black women in Latin America, which are competing against the Latinas over here in America, which are competing against the Latinas in the Caribbean, which are competing against the white women in the Caribbean, the white Latinas, which are competing against the white Latinas in America, which are competing against the white Latinas on the in South America, which are competing against the white women, the fully white women in America, which are competing against the fully white women in Britain, which are competing against the fully white women in Canada, which are competing against the fully white women in Western Europe, and then the Asian women, the East Asian women competing against the East Asian women in Japan and China and South Korea, which are competing against the East Asian women in America, which are competing against the South Asian women in America, which are competing against the South Asian women in South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, right? Which are also competing against the Southeast Asian women, right? Cambodia, Laos, etc., Indonesia, etc. That competition is real, and that's where the attention comes in. How many likes you have? How many DMs are you getting? How many men want to fly you out? Right? What are the quality of men that want to fly you out? How much money are they willing to spend? Right? When women hear that Vistiviano, Donald Sterling's mistress, he got her all type of condos and Ferraris and luxury cars, they want that too. There's a reason why Young Miami is holding on to Diddy, even though we know Diddy is probably never gonna marry her. And if she's lucky, she get a kid out of the deal, maybe. And even that looks iffy right now. There's a reason why. Because yeah, she make her own money, and yeah, she's rich in her own right, but she don't got Diddy money, and it's arguable she'll never have Diddy money. But I guarantee you, she's been on a private jet with Diddy. She's probably part of that 30 feet up, 30,000 feet up crowd, right? The club, 30,000 feet club. For those of y'all that don't know what that is, y'all look it up, right? Right. There's a reason why she's holding on for dear life. So, you know, on that note, we'll truly pause right there. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Mr. Z out. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. Thank you, button, for the replay squad. Go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, and y'all have a great rest of y'all day. All right, y'all. Mr. Z. Thank you, better you. Mile High Club. That's what I was trying to say. Mile High Club. And if you don't know what the Mile High Club is, look it up. Right? Look it up. All right, everybody. Mr. Z out.